In this part of the series, we move into the next step in effective communication: leading. Leading occurs when using mirroring with pacing and after rapport has been established. A simple way to test whether rapport has been established is to begin making small changes and observe whether the other person naturally follows. For example, you might slightly adjust your posture, change your speaking pace, or shift the direction of the conversation. If rapport is present, the other person will often begin to mirror those changes unconsciously. Their body language, tone, or language patterns may start to align with yours. This natural following indicates that the interaction has moved from pacing into leading, and that rapport is strong enough to guide the conversation. Once people feel understood and comfortable, the conversation becomes cooperative. At that point, communication can begin to move toward new ideas and possibilities. Leading does not mean forcing a direction. Instead, it means guiding the interaction gradually. When mirroring, pacing, and rapport are already in place, subtle guidance can help conversations move forward productively and transition into mirroring with leading. Leading simply means guiding the direction of the conversation. After rapport is established, people become more receptive to new perspectives. This creates an opportunity to introduce ideas that move the conversation forward. The key is gradual change. Rather than pushing for immediate agreement, you allow the conversation to evolve step by step. When leading is done correctly, the other person feels included in the process rather than pressured by it. Leading works best when it follows several moments of pacing. Once agreement has been established, you can begin introducing small shifts in direction. For example, after acknowledging someone's concern, you might add a new possibility. The shift should be gentle and respectful. By observing how the other person responds, you can determine whether the conversation is ready to move further in that direction. This balance between pacing and leading keeps communication cooperative. Leading can occur through physiology as well as words. If two people are already aligned through mirroring, small changes in posture or tone can guide the interaction. For example, if you gradually sit more upright or lean forward, the other person may naturally adjust as well. Changes in speaking pace or tone can also influence the emotional rhythm of the conversation. These subtle shifts often occur unconsciously. When rapport is strong, people naturally follow the direction of the interaction. Leading can also occur through conversation itself. Once agreement has been established, you can introduce new perspectives. Questions are especially powerful tools for leading. For example, you might ask, "What possibilities might exist if we approach this differently?" Questions like this encourage exploration rather than resistance. Instead of pushing an answer, you invite the other person to think about new options. This keeps the conversation collaborative. The most effective influence rarely feels forceful. Instead, it feels like guidance. Subtle guidance encourages reflection rather than confrontation. By maintaining respect for the other person's perspective, you keep the conversation open. This approach allows ideas to develop naturally. The conversation evolves through shared understanding rather than argument. When influence feels cooperative, people remain engaged in the discussion. Leading ultimately helps conversations move toward meaningful outcomes. However, maintaining rapport during this process is essential. Pay attention to the other person's responses. If they appear uncertain or hesitant, slow the pace of the conversation. If they appear engaged and curious, continue exploring the idea. This responsiveness ensures that the interaction remains balanced. Effective leading moves conversations toward solutions while preserving trust. From a spiritual perspective, leadership in communication begins with awareness. When communication is guided by clarity and respect, influence becomes constructive rather than manipulative. Awareness allows us to recognize how our words and actions affect others. Respect keeps the conversation balanced. When intention is focused on positive outcomes, communication becomes a creative force. Guidance rooted in awareness can help conversations move toward understanding and cooperation. To practice leading, begin by establishing agreement in a conversation. Acknowledge something the other person has said. Once that agreement exists, introduce a new perspective. You might ask a question that encourages reflection. For example, what possibilities could emerge if we approach this from another angle? Observe how the conversation responds. With practice, you will learn how to guide discussions while maintaining rapport. In this part of the series, we explored the concept of leading. Leading, used in conjunction with mirroring, allows conversations to move forward once rapport and agreement are established. By guiding communication gradually, you encourage exploration and cooperation. Subtle shifts in language, posture, and tone can influence the direction of interaction. When influence is applied with awareness and respect, conversations become more productive. In the next part of the series, we will begin exploring calibration. We will start with monitoring sensory modalities, learning how people reveal their internal processing through the language they use. If you found this training helpful, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next part in the series. And be sure to connect with me on LinkedIn and Facebook using the links provided in the video description below. I'll see you in Part 5, Monitoring Sensory Modalities.